Did they seriously just try to put a trade embargo on coffee? Admiral Rodriguez stared at the holographic message floating above her desk, her right eye twitching slightly as she reread the Galactic Council's latest decree. The small muscles in her jaw clenched rhythmically as she processed the implications. "Yes, ma'am," her aide replied, taking an unconscious step backward. The Zalaxian delegation cited concerning levels of psychological dependence among member species and classified it as a potentially dangerous psychoactive substance. Those tentacled bureaucrats wouldn't know dangerous if it slapped them across all 6 of their face stalks, Rodriguez muttered, drumming her fingers against the polished surface of her desk. The sharp staccato rhythm matched her rising blood pressure. Have they even seen what happens when you try to get between a human and their morning coffee? That's actually why they're pushing for the ban, ma'am. The latest report included footage from the incident on Station 7. Oh, that was one time, and Jenkins had been working a triple shift. The aide winced. The security recording of him wrestling that Paxian barista over the last espresso pod has been viewed over 8 billion times across the galactic networks. They're calling it evidence of dangerous addiction-driven behavior. Rodriguez pinched the bridge of her nose, feeling a headache building. The Galactic Council had been looking for excuses to restrict humanity's influence ever since Earth joined the interstellar community 50 years ago. First, it was safety concerns about our FTL drive designs, just because we occasionally bent the laws of physics until they cried uncle. Then came the endless committees investigating our reckless approach to genetic engineering. Apparently giving dolphins opposable thumbs was ethically questionable. But this was going too far. "Get me the council chamber on holo," she ordered, straightening her uniform. "And somebody fetch me a damn coffee while we still have some." The aide hesitated. "Ma'am, it's 0300 hours. The council won't be in session for another 6 standard rotations." "Perfect." Rodriguez's smile would have made a shark proud. "That gives us just enough time to implement Operation Percolator." "We have an operation plan for this scenario?" "Of course we do. Did you really think humanity would join an interstellar civilization without contingency plans for protecting our caffeine supply?" The aide made a small choking sound. "Oh, don't look so surprised," Rodriguez continued, already pulling up classified files on her terminal. "We've got plans for everything. Operation Chocolate Thunder, Operation Pizza Paradise, Operation Taco Tuesday. Hell, we've got 3 different strategies just for defending Earth's supply of chicken nuggets." "That's both impressive and mildly terrifying, ma'am." "Welcome to human diplomacy, kid. Now get me the chiefs of logistics, agriculture, and psychological warfare. We're going to teach the council why you don't get between humanity and its coffee beans." The next morning, by Earth Standard Time, the Galactic Council received what would later be described in official records as the most aggressively passive-aggressive diplomatic response in recorded history. High Counselor Zixtal of the Zalaxian Confederation stared at the human delegation's formal reply, all 6 of his eyestalks swiveling in different directions as he tried to process what he was reading. They can't do this," he whispered, his translator struggling to convey the mix of horror and admiration in his voice. "It's completely unprecedented." "What?" asked his assistant, a young Paxian who was still traumatized from the Station 7 incident. "What did they do?" "They've declared coffee an integral part of human cultural heritage. They're invoking Article 47B of the Species Protection Act." The assistant's forearms all dropped their data tablets simultaneously. But that article is meant to protect endangered species' religious artifacts and sacred traditions. They can't possibly. They included 7,000 years of human historical records documenting coffee's role in their civilization. Poetry, art, scientific papers, religious texts. They even submitted evidence that coffee was instrumental in humanity's industrial and technological development. Zixtal's color-shifting skin was cycling through patterns that indicated extreme distress. "They're claiming that restricting access to coffee would constitute cultural genocide. That's ridiculous. It's just a beverage." Tell that to the 20-page appendix documenting what they call the Boston Tea Party. Apparently humans have literally gone to war over hot beverages before. The assistant's skin paled to a sickly shade of mauve. "Surely the council won't accept—" "It gets worse," Zixtal interrupted, his eyestalks drooping. "They've also submitted a motion to have all coffee-producing regions of Earth classified as protected cultural heritage sites. Under Article 47B, That would make any attempt to restrict coffee exports a direct violation of their sovereign cultural rights. They're bluffing. The Council would never. They included projections showing how a coffee embargo would impact the galactic economy. Zixtal's voice dropped to a horrified whisper. Did you know that 40% of all human scientific breakthroughs and technological innovations occur within 2 meters of a coffee machine? That can't possibly be. They provided statistical evidence, with charts. Do you want to be the one to explain to the Council why human productivity dropped by half? Because I don't. The assistant considered this. Humans had only been part of the galactic community for 5 decades. But in that time they'd revolutionized everything from faster-than-light travel to artificial gravity generation. Most of their inventors insisted that coffee was essential to their creative process. There were even rumors that humans had once reverse-engineered a precursor artifact, while high on something called a venti triple-shot espresso. Maybe, the assistant ventured carefully, we should reconsider the embargo? It's too late, Zixtal moaned. Look at the next page. The assistant's eyes widened as he read. They wouldn't. They would. They're threatening to release their secret coffee-growing techniques to the general public. Do you have any idea what that would do to the market? Every agricultural world in the galaxy would start growing coffee. The entire regulatory framework would collapse. But that would crash the existing coffee futures market. The economic implications. Exactly. And guess who holds most of the current coffee production patents and quality control certifications? The humans, the assistant whispered, finally understanding the full scope of the situation. The humans, Zixtal confirmed grimly. They've had 50 years to position themselves as the galaxy's premier coffee experts. Half the luxury coffee shops in the core worlds are human-owned franchises. They've got us over a barrel, and they know it. So what do we do? Before Zixtal could respond, another message notification popped up on his terminal. His eyestalks all focused on it simultaneously, then drooped even further. What now? The assistant asked, dreading the answer. They've just submitted an additional 10,000 pages of documentation on something called coffee cake. Zixtal's skin had taken on the mottled pattern that indicated deep existential despair. Apparently it doesn't even contain coffee, but they're claiming it as part of the protected cultural heritage anyway, along with coffee tables, which are apparently furniture items that don't necessarily have anything to do with coffee either. That's just absurd. They can't possibly. They're citing legal precedents from their own planetary history. Something about the definition of sandwich leading to decades of court cases. Zixtal's voice trailed off as he continued reading. Oh no. What? They've also included a preliminary list of 10,000 other coffee-adjacent cultural items that they're preparing to file protection claims for. Everything from coffee filters to something called a coffee clatch. The assistant's translator glitched trying to process that last term. They're going to bury us in paperwork, aren't they? The assistant finally asked. Worse, Zixtal replied. They're going to make us read about human culture. All of it. In excruciating detail. With footnotes. Both aliens sat in silence for a moment, contemplating the horror of having to process human bureaucracy operating at full capacity. I'll draft the embargo withdrawal notice, the assistant said quietly. Add a formal apology, Zixtal instructed. And maybe send them a gift basket. Do humans like gift baskets? I'll check the cultural database, sir. 3 days later, Admiral Rodriguez sat in her office, sipping contentedly from a steaming mug of perfectly brewed coffee. The embargo withdrawal notice was framed on her wall, right next to the formal apology, and a certificate declaring coffee an intangible cultural heritage of humanity. Her aide entered with the morning reports, carrying his own cup of coffee. The Council had sent every human military installation a professional-grade espresso machine as part of their goodwill gesture. Ma'am? He asked, noting her satisfied expression. Was this the plan all along? To bureaucracy them into submission? Rodriguez smiled. Kid, humanity didn't get where it is today by just punching our problems. Sometimes you have to think outside the box. She took another sip of coffee. Besides, do you really think it was a coincidence that the Council received our response at 0300 hours their time? Ma'am? Have you ever tried to read 10,000 pages of legal documentation while caffeine-deprived? Because I guarantee none of those council members had access to coffee while reviewing our response. Her smile widened. Psychological warfare comes in many forms. The aide stared at her with newfound respect and horror. Now, Rodriguez continued, let's talk about Operation Pizza Paradise. I hear the Arcturians are making noise about Earth's cheese exports. The aide just nodded and took a long drink of his coffee. He had a feeling he was going to need it. Years later, the Station 7 incident would be referenced in galactic diplomatic training manuals as both a cautionary tale and a turning point in human-alien relations. The accompanying annotation simply read, "Never get between a human and their coffee. The paperwork alone will destroy you." The Zalaxian delegation, for their part, developed a sudden and intense interest in human beverage customs. Their cultural exchange program now includes mandatory coffee appreciation courses, and their diplomatic corps maintains a strategic reserve of premium Earth-grown coffee beans. As for humanity, well, let's just say that no species has attempted to regulate human consumables since. The mere mention of Operation Percolator is enough to make even the most zealous regulatory committee change the subject. And Jenkins? He was promoted to Chief of Human-Alien Cultural Relations, where he now gives lectures on caffeine diplomacy, how coffee saved Earth from bureaucratic disaster. His talks are always well attended, especially since he serves fresh coffee. The coffee machine from Station 7 was retired with full military honors, and now sits in the Museum of Human-Alien Relations, where it continues to serve as a reminder that some forces in the universe simply shouldn't be trifled with. Humanity's coffee, as it turns out, is one of them. Did someone just try to patent pizza dough? Admiral Rodriguez's coffee mug stopped halfway to her lips as she stared at the morning briefing. Her aide, now promoted to lieutenant after the coffee incident, winced at her tone. The Arcturians filed the patent claim yesterday, he confirmed. They're arguing that since they've genetically modified their wheat to grow in zero gravity, they now own the rights to all space-based pizza production. The Admiral slowly set down her mug, and the lieutenant took an instinctive step backward. He'd learned to recognize that particular gleam in her eye. "Have they forgotten about Operation Pizza Paradise already?" she asked quietly. "Ma'am, that was classified. They couldn't have known." "Oh, they knew." Rodriguez pulled up her terminal, fingers flying across the holographic interface. "The Zalaxians warned them. I know they did because I personally sent High Counselor Zixtal a courtesy heads-up last week when our intelligence suggested the Arcturians were getting ideas." "You warned them?" "Of course. It's only sporting to give them a chance to back down." She paused her typing to take another sip of coffee. "Besides, watching them panic is half the fun." The lieutenant checked his own datapad. "The Arcturians are claiming their patent only applies to non-terrestrial pizza production. They say Earth-based operations won't be affected." "Oh, really?" Rodriguez's smile had that shark-like quality again. "Pull up the Cultural Heritage database. Search for pizza in space." The lieutenant did as instructed, then let out a low whistle. "That's a lot of documentation. NASA has been sending pizza into space since the 21st century. There's an entire section of the International Space Station's history devoted to pizza nights. Hell, we've got video footage of the first pizza party on Mars." Rodriguez was hitting her stride now, and the lieutenant could practically see the gears turning. "Call legal. I want every single pizza-related space mission report from every space agency on Earth compiled and annotated by tomorrow morning." "Yes, ma'am. Should I also—" "And get me the cultural preservation team, the ones who handled the coffee documentation. Tell them to pull everything we have on pizza's role in space exploration. Scientific papers, mission logs, astronaut diaries. If anyone so much as thought about pizza in zero gravity, I want it documented." "What about Operation Pizza Paradise?" "Oh, we're way past that now." Rodriguez cracked her knuckles. "This calls for something special. Get me Admiral Patel in R&D. Tell him it's time to activate Protocol Margarita." The lieutenant felt a chill run down his spine. "Is that the one with the orbital pizza delivery drones?" Yes, it is." Rodriguez's grin was downright predatory now. "Let's see them try to patent pizza dough when we've got a fleet of autonomous vehicles capable of delivering a hot, fresh pizza anywhere in the solar system within 30 minutes or less." "Isn't that project still in testing?" "Lieutenant, do you know why humans got so good at faster-than-light travel? The coffee machines? Besides that," she leaned forward, "it's because somebody bet us we couldn't deliver pizza to Alpha Centauri while it was still hot. The entire project started as a bar bet between a pizza shop owner and a physicist." The lieutenant made a mental note to update his file on things humans will do out of sheer spite. "Now," Rodriguez continued, "get me the commissioner of the Intergalactic Food Standards Bureau. I think it's time we had a chat about protected designation of origin status for deep dish pizza." "The Arcturians aren't going to like that." "The Arcturians shouldn't have tried to mess with pizza. Not after what happened with the coffee." She paused thoughtfully. Actually, while you're at it, send a message to the Zalaxian embassy. Ask them if they'd like to invest in some pizza franchises. I hear they're going to be very profitable soon. High Counselor Zixtal was having a very bad day. His morning had started with an urgent message from the Arcturian delegation, followed by 17 emergency alerts from the patent office, and now his assistant was telling him that humans had somehow managed to file 10,000 pages of documentation before anyone had even finished their first cup of coffee. How? He demanded, all 6 eyestalks twitching in agitation. The patent was only filed yesterday. His assistant checked the timestamps. They appear to have submitted everything within 2 hours of the initial filing. That's impossible. Nobody can process that much paperwork that quickly. The humans can, sir. Especially since... The assistant's voice dropped to a whisper. They've had it prepared for years. Zixtal's skin shifted to the pale yellow pattern of dawning horror. You mean they knew this would happen? According to this note from Admiral Rodriguez, they have contingency plans for, and I quote, every conceivable attempt to regulate, restrict, or otherwise mess with human food. But why? The cover letter suggests we review something called The Great Molasses Flood of 1919 for historical context. Zixtal made a mental note to update the Diplomatic Corps' database on things that will make humans extremely protective of food. What exactly are they demanding? He asked, dreading the answer. They're not demanding anything yet, sir. They're just... The assistant gestured helplessly at the flood of documentation. They're educating us. Oh no. The first 1,000 pages are a comprehensive history of pizza and human space exploration. Did you know they modified their first Mars landing module to include a pizza oven? They what? Apparently it was deemed mission critical for crew morale. There are 300 pages of psychological studies backing up that decision. Zixtal slumped in his chair. Please tell me that's all. No, sir. They've also submitted a preliminary application to have the art of pizza making in space declared an intangible cultural heritage of humanity. The supporting documentation includes every pizza-related space mission from the past 2 centuries. How many missions could there possibly be? Sir, humans have been sending pizza into space since before they had reliable interplanetary travel. There's footage of astronauts making pizza by floating ingredients through zero gravity. But why? Because they could, sir. The documentation is very clear on that point. Zixtal took a long drink from his emergency coffee supply, a diplomatic gift from the humans, delivered right after the coffee embargo incident. What else? They've announced the launch of something called the Solar System Pizza Express. Apparently they've developed FTL-capable drones specifically designed to deliver pizza. They wouldn't... The press release says they guarantee delivery anywhere in the solar system in 30 minutes or less, or your pizza is free. Zixtal's skin cycled through several patterns of distress before settling on a mottled pattern that his species typically reserved for natural disasters. Contact the Arcturians. Tell them to withdraw the patent claim immediately. Already done, sir. The humans beat us to it. They sent them a cease and desist order, along with a coupon for a free large pizza with unlimited toppings. The humans are just toying with us now, aren't they? Yes, sir. Admiral Rodriguez also sent a personal message. She says that if anyone tries to patent garlic bread next, she'll be very disappointed. Zixtal shuddered. He'd seen the classified reports on what happened when humans were very disappointed. Send a memo to all member species, he ordered. New protocol. No regulations on human food items without prior consultation with Earth's diplomatic corps. Should I include the coffee incident as a case study? No need. Just tell them that if they think the coffee incident was bad, they really don't want to see what happens when humans think someone is trying to take their pizza. Back on Earth, Admiral Rodriguez was putting the finishing touches on Operation Garlic Bread Guardian, just in case. One could never be too prepared, after all. Ma'am, her lieutenant ventured, was all this really necessary? The orbital delivery drones, the legal documentation, the cultural heritage claims? Lieutenant, do you know why humans were the first species to crack practical FTL travel? Because of the coffee machines? Because we wanted to explore the universe, yes. But do you know what we wanted to do once we got there? The lieutenant thought about it. Share our culture? We wanted to prove that we could deliver a hot pizza to literally any point in space. She smiled. The coffee was just fuel for the engineers working on the problem. So all of human space exploration. Was driven by our desire to eat familiar food in unfamiliar places? Pretty much. She picked up her coffee mug. The Arcturians thought they could control pizza production in space. What they didn't understand is that humans have been solving the problem of how to get pizza from point A to point B while keeping it hot for centuries. We've literally built spaceships specifically for that purpose. And the documentation? Sometimes the best weapon is showing people exactly how much thought you've put into something they considered trivial. She took a sip of coffee. Besides, we've got to keep ourselves entertained somehow. Have you seen the plans for Operation Taco Tuesday? The lieutenant decided some questions were better left unasked. The Arcturian patent claim was withdrawn less than 24 hours after it was filed, setting a new record for fastest bureaucratic reversal in galactic history. The Solar System Pizza Express, however, proved wildly successful, particularly among space station crews who had previously been limited to freeze-dried meals. The first interstellar pizza delivery franchise opened 6 months later, backed by a consortium of Zilaxian investors who had learned their lesson about betting against human food service innovations. And somewhere in the vast expanse of space, a fleet of pizza delivery drones continues to patrol the solar system, ready to fulfill humanity's eternal quest to get hot food to hungry people as quickly as possible, regardless of their location in three-dimensional space. Because if there's one thing the galaxy has learned, it's that humans take their food very, very seriously, even in zero gravity, especially in zero gravity. They did what to the tacos? Admiral Rodriguez's voice echoed through the halls of Earth's Diplomatic Corps headquarters. Her lieutenant, who had by now developed an uncanny sixth sense for impending food-related diplomatic incidents, was already pulling up Operation Taco Tuesday protocols before she finished speaking. The Centaurian Trade Federation has implemented a new authenticity certification requirement for all Mexican cuisine sold in their space, he reported, scanning through the alert. They're claiming it's to protect consumers from inauthentic cultural experiences. Rodriguez set down her coffee mug with deliberate care. Have they actually been to Mexico, or literally any place on Earth with a taco truck? No, ma'am. Their cultural research appears to be based entirely on tourist brochures from the 2030s. And they think they can define what makes a taco authentic? They've created a standardized specification. The lieutenant pulled up the document and immediately wished he hadn't. It's very specific. They're mandating exact percentages of ingredients, standardized cooking times, and... He squinted at the text. They've banned fusion tacos entirely. The Admiral's eye began to twitch. Get me the Mexican embassy and the Korean embassy, and, you know what? Get me all the embassies, every single one of them. Ma'am, if they want to talk about authentic tacos, we're going to give them an education about the true nature of Earth's food culture. She cracked her knuckles. Remember what happened when that Rigelian food critic said Chicago-style pizza wasn't real pizza? The lieutenant winced. The resulting 300-page dissertation on the history and validity of regional pizza variations had become required reading at the Diplomatic Academy. This is worse, Rodriguez continued. They're not just attacking one type of food. They're trying to standardize one of the most beautifully chaotic aspects of human cuisine, our ability to take any food and make it into a taco. She stood up and began pacing, which the lieutenant recognized as her plotting something monumentally petty yet technically legal walk. Did you know that humans have made tacos out of literally everything? Everything. There are breakfast tacos, dessert tacos, fusion tacos that blend 3 or 4 different cultural traditions. She spun around. Get me the cultural preservation team, and the anthropologists, and someone from the International Street Food Vendors Alliance. The what? Trust me, they exist, and they've been waiting for this moment. She paused. Also contact Admiral Patel. Tell him to activate Protocol Salsa Verde. The lieutenant felt his blood run cold. Is that the one with the orbital food trucks? Yes it is. Her smile was pure mischief. If they want authentic street food experiences, we'll give them authentic street food experiences, in space. But the logistics of... Lieutenant, humanity didn't perfect artificial gravity technology just for space stations. We did it so we could properly cook street food in 0G. She tapped her desk terminal. Now, how quickly can we organize an interstellar food truck rally? High Counselor Zixtal was having his third coffee of the day, and it wasn't even noon. His assistant had just arrived with the latest human response to the Centaurian regulations, and he could already feel a headache building. How bad is it? He asked, not really wanting to know the answer. They've submitted a 50,000-page document titled A Preliminary Introduction to Earth's Street Food Culture, Volume 1, Tacos and Taco-Adjacent Cuisine. Volume 1? All 6 of Zixtal's eyestalks drooped simultaneously. How many volumes are there? The index lists 47 planned volumes, sir. This is just the introduction to tacos specifically. But it's 50,000 pages! Yes, sir. The footnotes alone are longer than most species' entire cultural databases. The assistant checked his notes. They've also included video documentation of something called a food truck revolution, and submitted applications for 147 different street foods to be classified as intangible cultural heritage items. 147? So far, sir. They're still counting regional variations. The assistant's skin had taken on the pale hue of bureaucratic despair. Did you know humans will put literally anything between 2 pieces of bread or wrap it in a tortilla and call it food? Surely they can't. Sir, there's an entire chapter dedicated to something called a sushirito. It's exactly what it sounds like. Zixtal took another long drink of coffee. What exactly are they demanding? That's the strange part, sir. They're not demanding anything. They're just sharing. Sharing? Yes, sir. The cover letter says this is just the first phase of what they're calling the Great Cultural Food Exchange Initiative. They're offering to send food trucks to every major space station in Centaurian space to provide, and I quote, an educational and gastronomical experience that will expand the Federation's understanding of authentic Earth cuisine. That doesn't sound so bad. Sir, they're sending 10,000 food trucks. 10,000? Yes, sir. Each specializing in a different regional or fusion cuisine. The assistant checked another note. They're calling it Operation Breaking Bread. Apparently it's a subset of Operation Taco Tuesday. Zixtal's skin shifted to the color pattern that indicated extreme concern. Get me the Centaurian ambassador. Tell them to withdraw those regulations immediately. Already done, sir. The humans beat us to it again. They sent the Centaurians a care package. Do I want to know what was in it? 47 different types of tacos, each from a different Earth culture or fusion tradition, along with a handwritten note from Admiral Rodriguez suggesting they expand their palate before trying to regulate someone else's cuisine. Zixtal slumped in his chair. The coffee incident wasn't enough. The pizza incident wasn't enough. Why do species keep trying to regulate human food? Sir, there's more. Of course there is. The humans are launching something called the Interstellar Street Food Initiative. They're converting old cargo ships into mobile food courts. They're what? And they're offering franchising opportunities to any species interested in learning Earth cooking techniques. The assistant's voice dropped to a whisper. The Zalaxians have already signed up for the pilot program. The Zalaxians? But they don't even have the same digestive system as humans. Apparently they've developed synthetic taste buds specifically to appreciate Earth cuisine. After the coffee incident, they decided it was safer to join the humans than try to regulate them. Zixtal considered this for a long moment. Send a memo to all member species. New protocol. Any attempt to standardize, regulate, or restrict human food must first be approved by a committee that has actually eaten said food. In person. Preferably from a street vendor. Yes, sir. Should I also mention that the humans are offering free cooking classes? Add it to the memo. And schedule me for one of those classes. If we can't beat them, we might as well learn how to make proper tacos? Exactly. Zixtal finished his coffee. And contact Admiral Rodriguez. Tell her I'm particularly interested in learning about this sushirito thing. Back on Earth, Admiral Rodriguez was putting the finishing touches on Operation Faux Fighter, just in case anyone got any ideas about regulating Vietnamese cuisine. Ma'am? Her lieutenant asked, watching her update the contingency protocols. Was the orbital food truck fleet really necessary? Lieutenant, do you know why humans developed artificial gravity technology? For space stations? Because we got tired of eating freeze-dried food in space. She smiled. Every major advancement in human space technology can be traced back to our desire to eat proper food wherever we go. The first Mars colony had a fully equipped kitchen before it had proper sleeping quarters. But converting cargo ships into food courts? The best way to understand a culture is through its food. She pulled up the schematics for the mobile food courts. And if anyone tries to tell us how our food should be made, we'll drown them in so much culinary diversity they won't know what hit them. Is that why we're offering cooking classes? Exactly. By the time we're done, There won't be a species in the galaxy that doesn't understand why you never, ever try to standardize Earth cuisine. She paused thoughtfully. Besides, have you seen the plans for Operation Kimchi Crisis? The lieutenant had. The folder was labeled, "In case of fermentation regulation emergency. Break glass." The Centaurian Trade Federation withdrew their authenticity regulations within 48 hours of receiving Admiral Rodriguez's care package. Their official statement cited a newfound appreciation for the complexity and diversity of Earth's culinary traditions. The first interstellar food court launched a month later, featuring cooking stations from 50 different Earth cultures and fusion traditions. The Zalaxian-run Sushi Taco Fusion stand quickly became one of its most popular attractions, and somewhere in the vast expanse of space, a fleet of food trucks continues to roam, spreading the chaotic joy of Earth's street food to every corner of the galaxy. Because if there's one thing humans won't tolerate, it's someone telling them how their food should be made. After all, the only authentic way to make a taco is whatever way makes it delicious. Even if that means putting sushi in it. Especially if that means putting sushi in it. The end.